So I've been writing this book about Jehovah's Witnesses. Not available yet, although if it is available as of this moment, check my community posts. Check my website, owenmorgan.com/book. That will tell you if the book is available or not. It'll tell you the progress and everything else. Just give it a look. I'm super excited about it. It's about Jehovah's Witnesses, their history, their prophecy, their culture, the whole 9 yards. So hopefully you guys get to read that. But somebody left a voicemail about one of the original presidents of Jehovah's Witnesses. It was the second president, Joseph Rutherford. He was legal counsel for the Watchtower Society, I think from 1909 to 1917. Charles Taze Russell, the official founder of the Bible Students, is what it was called before it was Jehovah's Witnesses. He was basically the founder of the Watchtower Society, and he died Halloween night, 1916. When he died, there was a power struggle. Joseph Rutherford, being legal counsel and being trained in the law, effectively did a hostile takeover of the organization, took control as the next president. There were elections for the position of presidency, but basically people were like voting to see who should be nominated for different groups. And Joseph Rutherford, as soon as he was nominated, closed nominations. And then he ran unopposed as the president of the Watchtower Society, and of course won. Anyway, big long power struggle, middle. He became the president. Died in 1942 of cancer. So he was president from 1917 to 1942. Well, I got a voicemail from a caller about Joseph Rutherford, so give this a listen.
Hey, Owen, have you ever thought that maybe the reason why Joseph Rutherford was clean-shaven is because he was incapable of growing a beard himself? That might have been the reason. Also, it is impossible for a lawyer to be a judge. When lawyers become judges, they have to give up their bar cards. Therefore, Rutherford was probably never really a judge at all. I'm just throwing that out there. Anyway, love your show. Bye.
Fascinating. I did not know that. If somebody has some insight into that, please put it in the comments. That's really, really interesting. Because Joseph Rutherford goes by Judge Rutherford. That's what he always called himself, or what people called him, Judge Joseph Rutherford. If he was a judge, he wouldn't have had, he wouldn't have been barred, basically. You take the bar exam and you get accepted into the bar, and then you can be a lawyer in whatever field, basically. But he was serving as legal counsel for the Watchtower Society from, I think, 1909 until 1917. And if he was legal counsel back then, I don't know if he could have been a judge before. Of course, this is like in the 19th century and the early 20th century, so maybe it was different back then. But anyways, about the beard thing, yeah, Joseph Rutherford also banned beards, fascinatingly. The reason was because his predecessor, Charles Taze Russell, had a big bushy beard, and he didn't want people to be reminded of his predecessor because of the hostile takeover. Things were a little touchy. People started growing beards to look like Charles Taze Russell. He actually, throughout the process of the hostile takeover, lost 1/7, roughly, the membership and staff and everything of the Watchtower Society as he was taking it over. So, anyways, he banned beards because he didn't want anyone to be reminded of his predecessor. And they remained banned all the way up until 2023, the end of 2023, fascinatingly. So, I mean, that's possible, that maybe he just couldn't grow a beard. He always stayed clean-shaven, even before banning beards. So, yeah, thank you for the call. Quick interjection, this won't take long. I just want to say, if you want to support my channel, the best way you can do it is by watching this video to the end, or at least watching a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. YouTube's recommendation algorithm works off of watch time. You can also subscribe to the channel, like the video, and check out my Patreon. Link is in the description for that. All right, back to the video.
Oh, hey there, Owen. This is Jen from Michigan. I just wanted to bring up as a Catholic that I've heard from a couple of my priests actually say that Biden is not allowed to receive communion due to, I guess, his support of abortion, which is something that stance I don't agree with, about him being banned from receiving communion. I just thought I'd share that. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Appreciate it. Yes, I believe that that's true. In fact, Biden is not the only one who's been banned from taking communion. It was also Nancy Pelosi who's been banned. Now, for the record, Biden does not believe in abortion. He wouldn't get an abortion. But he just doesn't believe that he has the right to control other people's lives. A true, not small government person, but limited control government type of person. He recognizes not everybody in the country is Catholic, and he can't impose his Catholic views on everybody else. That's super respectable. So anyways, throughout time, different people have been banned from taking communion for not, in an authoritarian way, forcing their will on others. The Vatican does that from time to time. The Vatican is super, super, super pro-life. It's like absurd and out of control, and they try to sway the political decisions of people in other countries by pulling religious rights from them and things like that. So, not great. Anyway, thank you for the voicemail. I mean, people have weird ideas about communion and what it means and if you'll survive if you don't take it and everything else. Jesus just said, do this in a remembrance of me. This is my body. This is my blood. Drink it and blah, blah, blah. It didn't say, if you don't do this, you're not making it into heaven or whatever. He just said, remember me by doing this. I don't know how anybody can yank that from anyone else. You should be free to do that if you want. Like, who cares? According to this, what I'm seeing here on CBSNews.com, Biden is welcome to receive communion at churches in the Archdiocese. Mr. Biden met with Pope Francis last month at the Vatican, where Biden said the Pope told him he was a good Catholic and should keep taking communion. This is from 2021. So Biden may have been banned from it at some point, but is no longer. Either way, the Vatican has absolutely done that before. Again, Nancy Pelosi was banned at one point, I think, for one reason or another. Pelosi receives communion. This is from NPR.org. Pelosi receives communion in the Vatican despite her home archbishop refusing it, the head of the church in San Francisco said. Okay, so these people are allowed to take communion at the Vatican. It's not the Pope that's telling them no. It's their local church that's telling them no. That makes more sense. That checks out. Anyways, yeah, that should shed some light on the subject. Thank you for the voicemail. Appreciate it.
Hey, you forgot to upload podcast episode 288. That's all I just want to tell you.
Thank you. I appreciate you letting me know. It's actually really valuable when people call in and let me know if I missed something, because from time to time I do. However, that was intentional. That one was. I specifically and intentionally did not upload that week's because I wanted to push it back a week. By uploading it when it was crippling my views on my Fireside Chat channel badly. I was getting like a third of the views that I was before because people were just waiting for the audio form to release on Monday, listening to it, and then not watching any of the videos on the channel. So I staggered it. I pushed it back so that the podcast releases after the videos have already released. That way people can pick whichever they want, but video form comes out first. Anyway, thanks for letting me know. Seriously, continue to let me know. If I miss one of these, I may not even realize it. It's important. You know, I'm just one dude sitting here trying to manage this whole thing. Sometimes I mess up, so thanks for letting me know.
Hi, Owen. I was calling in regards to you saying that porn addiction and sex addiction may not be a thing. It's a lot like a eating addiction or...
Talking about porn addiction, yeah. So in a video a little while back, I'm sorry, I don't normally interrupt the voicemails. Give me a second to explain. I talked about sex addiction in a video a while back, and I said that my professor in school, my psychology professor, he believed that sex addiction was real. And I'm not so sure. That's what I said. Now, porn addiction, that's a totally different thing. That is something coming from an outside source that is predatory and manipulative toward the people who are consuming this content. In the same way that gambling is coming from an outside source, somebody is walking in and taking part in a process that is predatory and manipulative. Porn addiction is 100% real. If I said, maybe I did say porn addiction mistakenly. I apologize. I shouldn't have said that if I did. But you're right. Absolutely. You are correct to say that porn addiction is real. And I'll talk more about it in a second. Let's just listen to the voicemail.
Hey, Owen, I was calling in regards to you saying that porn addiction and sex addiction may not be a thing.
Right. Sex addiction is what I said isn't real.
It's a lot like a eating addiction or gambling addiction, video game addiction, or any other addiction. This is an unhealthy behavior. With porn addiction, I had one when I was 18 to 23. I think I spent like $18,000 over the course of those years on porn sites and VHS tapes because I was.
That is a lot. $18,000? Is that what he said? $18,000 over the course of a few years on like VHS tapes and stuff. Boy, that is rough. I'm sorry. I know. Yeah, definitely. Gambling, food addiction is real. Porn addiction is real. I mean, all this stuff is real. Video game addiction is another one for sure. I agree. And to make it even worse, the industry that we're talking about, God, I'm going to be demonetized for this. The industry we're talking about is deeply predatory. Like, look at what Andrew Tate did. He even said that he did this. He had some girls that were talking, just normal. They were on a camera, and they were just talking to people, and they were pretending to type, especially if they're offline. You know, pretend to talk to people as they message them. And in reality, it was Andrew Tate on the other end saying stuff to these guys to get them to get their grandma's credit card and pay him whatever he could get out of them. The girl wasn't even involved in the process. It's about as predatory as it gets. And it's just disgusting how predatory this stuff is.
I'm old, and anything that gets in the way of your real relationship and you get the synopsis firing. With sex addiction, it's more having sex, regardless of how dangerous the situation is, even if you're married and stuff like that. I just think it's important to realize that all addiction is doing things to an extreme to get that high of getting off and, feeling good from doing things in an unhealthy manner. So I just want to clarify that. That's it. Thanks for all you do. Bye.
Appreciate the voicemail there. Yes, absolutely. As you said, all addiction it's basically just taking things to an extreme. And there's a model that represents when you have an addiction and when you're just enjoying something. Do you go out of your way to, for example, let's just take alcohol, for example. Do you go out of your way to drink? Will you leave work early to get to a liquor store in time to buy alcohol? Does it interfere with your everyday life? Do you find yourself skipping work, or do you find yourself not being able to go out with friends because you need to do this, get alcohol or whatever? Do you see your finances taking a serious hit because of the addiction that you're dealing with? Addiction and dependence are not the same thing, by the way. People have dependencies on coffee, for example, but coffee isn't ruining their lives, and they can take it or leave it. They just know that they're going to have they just know that they're going to have a headache if they don't drink coffee. The coffee could be an addiction too. Some people have an addiction to coffee as well as a dependence, a physical dependence. But anyway, the point is that, there's a model. I don't remember what the model is exactly, but those are just a couple of examples of things that are on it. Does it interfere with your everyday life? Do you find yourself going out of your way to get this thing or to do this thing or whatever? I agree that porn addiction is 100% real. Sex addiction, I think that, I'll give you that. I think it's more complicated than that. It's more complicated than porn addiction or than alcohol addiction. I suppose I can see a circumstance in which it could be an addiction. I'd have to give it more thought. Anyway, thank you guys for the voicemails. I appreciate that.